Welcome to the Spinwhiz Comics Show. Whoa. From Raleigh, North Carolina. Join us for exclusive interviews with the publishers bringing you the newest titles in indie comics, webcomics, movies, and more.
No way.
And now, here's your host, Jeff Palumbo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stream once again. Thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up. We got a great show for you tonight. The gentleman that is on tonight, he and I met, and I'll go into this a little more because he and I actually get along. And if anything, while I say that I tell everybody before they come on the show that we try to get 30 minutes. The average is about 52 minutes that I actually average with people. However, Joe and I might actually break the barrier and go like 3 or 4 full hours. It is highly possible. So I'm going to bring him in here. Now, the gentleman that I'm bringing out, like I said, Joe Vallen is the guest tonight. And he is a writer extraordinaire. He is the owner of Vallen Comics. And he has written this marvelous little ditty called Fibber. He is just itching to be on this screen. So I'm going to bring him in. Feel free to ask questions. Let's get this party started with our boy Joe. Joe Vallen. There you are. Welcome to the stream. Whoop. Mm-hmm. It'd be help if I unmuted you. Now I did. Now you're unmuted.
How's that?
Now everybody can hear you.
Good. How's everybody doing?
I mean, I'm doing fine. We're just waiting for people to pop on in. But luckily, for those of you that are not watching this live and watching on YouTube, you're already here. So for those of you that are watching on YouTube, the links are all below. Don't worry about writing them down, but you can go right there. Just click on stuff. You'll see what it is. You'll see what this is about. And then for those of you on podcast, just make sure you're actually tuning in. You'll be able to find stuff on Spinwhiz Comics. You'll be able to find stuff on our YouTube channel or any of our social medias. So don't worry. You'll be able to find Joe in all his stunning glory. So I will say this about Joe. Starting off, probably the most muscular of writers we've had on the show. One of the better looking writers we've had on the show. And way more hair than yours truly. So, Joe, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking some time out of your schedule. And thank Lily as well, because I know you got a lot of stuff going on over there. And I appreciate her saying, yeah, come on in.
Yeah, man. And I appreciate the physical bar being set so low.
Well,
you know, I mean, if
I set it low.
Specimen.
I mean, I set it low for you, really.
Thank you.
Yeah. You can smash home runs all day on this show. That's for sure.
There you go. As I approach 40 this June, I will be an old man.
Holy crap! You're gonna be 40?
Yep.
I am 41, but I look every bit of it. You look like you're maybe 31.
I feel every bit of it.
Oh, see,
no, it's the lights. Lily got new lights.
I don't feel like it. I feel like I'm probably 29 until I wake up in the morning and my back cracks. And I'm like, holy shit, now I feel like I'm 50.
Who's that old guy? I feel like Larry King's sitting here doing this interview.
Holy shit.
Like, I feel like I need the suspenders and stuff so I can sit here.
I think he's a cyborg. There's no way that dude is actually alive.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm either that. I mean, he does look like one of those Mars attacks with like the kind of like the skull that tips up.
He really does.
And there's like the little alien, operating him as a mech would be.
I agree. Nicely done, by the way. Good mech reference. My screen is all jacked up on you. I'm telling you, my computer's going crazy tonight, so I might have to redo that. Anyway, so we have some great news. Let's start out with the fact that you do have a Kickstarter going up right now. We're interviewing you not necessarily just for the Kickstarter, but because you've never been on the show. You haven't been on the show yet. I've been on your show. You've never been on mine.
Yeah, which is crazy. You think I would have done it by now, so I'm happy to be here finally.
Well, we've both been busy. Mm. I have been busy for this and my day job. You have been busy for all of the massive amounts of writing and promotion that you do. Not to mention your awesome live feeds when you're going to anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd use the word awesome, but I appreciate it. I like them. I definitely am feeling out the live thing. Like, I don't know when to pop on. When I pop on, I'm not really sure what to say. But I know it's something I have to do. Like, Lily will leave the house and say, don't forget to pop on live. Don't forget to do a Twitch show. And then you have that podcast coming up. right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all right, that's my day. So I can kind of work around that day. And as I was kind of explaining to you off camera, when you're writing, it's kind of the opposite process of really looking inward and like deep thought and stuff. And when you do like, podcasts like this and stuff, you have to kind of project out to people and be like, outgoing.
Yeah.
And it's a wild switcheroo that I'm having to do, like with this quarantine thing. I have to make this switch like 3 or 4 times a day without changing my environment. It's the same spot I'm in. So it's a mental trick.
Which is exhausting, to be honest with you.
It's wearing on me. But that being said, I understand that we actually have it better than most people where we can work from home a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And, I do have the Kickstarter going. And when this whole thing, the news started getting weird and everybody started getting crazy, that's when my Kickstarter kind of hit a wall. We were doing really well before that. So part of what we're discussing on this show is whether or not to let my Kickstarter ride through it, which I think you and I agree we probably should,
mm-hmm.
Or reschedule or something like that. So
I think
that's where I'm
at
with that.
I think we're going to get it.
I'm pretty sure. It's looking good. I would say it's looking good.
Yeah,
so,
I think we're going to do it. So, and that's even before this show. I think we're going to do it. So after this, I mean, we're talking like 3 or 4 of your breakthroughs. I mean, there's going to be all sorts of stretch goals after this interview.
Yeah, I hope so. I definitely hope so. There's a lot of stuff we want to do, up to and including a slipcover, hardcover graphic novel version of Fibber.
Nice way to get it out there.
Issue. Yeah, man. This was one that was kind of stapled a little weird, so I used it for demonstration. But
look how
Fibber
pretty it is.
It's such a pretty comic, and these lights are too bright, so it doesn't do it justice. But you guys can find Fibber anywhere. Just type Fibber into Google. It'll direct you. Fibber is Fibber. There's not a lot of it out there. It's just my thing.
I'm going to drop it in the chat right now, just so people can go check it out. So it's on Spinwhiz Comics. Well, we're here
for free. You can read issue 1 for free on spinwhizcomics.com.
Yep. And then we're going to drop the old Kickstarter link in here, too, because that's what we do. And by the end of this interview, I think everybody's going to be like, well, damn, he's awesome. Because I personally feel, and you have kicked many a project. I have kicked many a project. What I normally do is I gravitate towards the people that I like, that I could potentially, if I ever met them, I'd be like, oh, let's go have a beer. Maybe it is the wrong way to do business, but you and I have talked in the past that relationship management has a lot to do in this environment specifically, and that knowing that you can get along with somebody sometimes has a greater benefit in business than it does if it's good content. Would you agree, disagree?
Yeah, and especially on a long-term project of any kind, because long-term is what you want to watch out for. If you're stuck, working with a consultant for a weekend, it's not a big deal. You can tolerate almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're dealing with somebody over the course of a year or 2 years, you're fleshing out a graphic novel, you're doing a storyboard, you're working on a film script, something that takes a long amount of time, these little fissures in the relationship where the other person's kind of a dick and you sort of react a little bit. Mm-hmm. What ends up happening is over time, the guards keep getting raised up higher and higher, and it becomes more important to be right than it is just to be cohesive in the project.
Mm-hmm.
So the project suffers no matter what if it's creative. You'll also probably hurt your production times by quibbling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing too. So if you can avoid all of that shit and you can just get along. I'm sorry, can we swear on your show?
Oh yeah.
Oh good.
Oh yeah. So, there's no limits.
Now,
there's no limits here, my friend.
No limits. Jeff No Limits Paloma.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, it's just beneficial if you can get along. I have learned how to kind of pick my battles with my newest comics, and there's certain things that like, do you need every aspect of that shot? You can't bend on any of it. You really need this placement. You need this character here. You need this said, this much text and dialogue. Like, you're going to drive your artist crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that it's just better to be like, well, what could I accept? And sometimes I write my scripts in such a way that requires feedback from the artist. And then this way they give me their vision of the panel. And from there, as long as it's in the ballpark, I'm like, yeah, that's great. Let's do that. And this way that's why I like every artist that works with me as a co-creator as well.
I love it. Well, you're working with Robert Powers on this one, and he is the man.
Rob's a good guy, man.
What a good dude.
Yeah, and he's a good dude first. I mean, he kind of struck me as like, I don't know. I mean, it's not that like we're all New Yorkers or whatever, but when I met him, there was that instant recognition. Like he seemed very familiar to me. Anyway, he reminded me of somebody I went to school with or something. I don't know why, but we clicked. He was always funny. When things get a little tight, he never really challenges me on anything. He's very like easygoing. So then I try to be easygoing as well. Like I've had ideas that he shot down, and the mark of a good team is, can you accept that shooting down of your idea and bounce back with another one that might be better? And if you can do that, then you're a good team. And that's how Rob and I are. I don't take it personally if he gives me criticism at all. It's because he cares about the project. He wants it to be as good as it can possibly be. And the fact that I understand it's coming from that place means it's never personal. So it's a good team. Rob's a great guy.
And that is very hard to find. I have gone through many an artist who are super flaky or just super assholes and the way that things have to be. And I'm like, like you said, there has to be kind of that give and take. The way I was with Bong when I was working with him was I said, listen, I'm going to let you kind of run with it unless I really, really, really need something in there. And I said, and that'll be because
that's a pretty good way to go about it.
Because it's a twist piece. And he's like, no problem. And there was only 2 things we ever went back and forth on, but it wasn't argumentative. He was trying to understand what I was trying to make happen in the following scenes and why he thought it was such a big deal. So he was coming at it from a creator and a reader, and it was awesome.
Right. And then, and the other thing too is there's actions speak louder than words kind of deal. So when you're having your meetings and you're having your production meetings and all that other stuff, you have to get along during the meeting. That's very important. But what's even more important is that you honor each other's commitment with the work you turn in. So if he stays up for 3 nights in a row doing color for issue 2, which I know he has, then it's really important that when I turn in the outline for issue 3, it's pretty mind-blowing. It's got to be good, because he's devoted a lot of time. So I need to make sure that our next ideas are powerful ideas that are going to motivate him, because that's what excites an artist through a project long term. They have to latch onto the story. They have to believe in the story. And I've worked with artists on projects where you can tell they were kind of half-assing my story. Maybe it didn't connect with them all the way. That never works.
I've always asked when I wanted to do Chimera, not only did I go through 4 different artists before I even got to Bong, I said, listen, read it first, because if you don't like it, I don't want you to work on it.
Right.
That's all there is. Like, you don't have to like it. That's okay if you don't. But if you dig it, your art's going to be better. You give a shit about it, and things ultimately come out better.
And not only that, you can ride out the low times in making a new business, because that's what you're doing.
Yes.
And with every new business, there's highs and lows, and you need a partner, or at least somebody on your team. Lily's part of our team for Fibber as well. She's the project manager, technically. I'm the label head, technically. But it's 3 people making a comic. It's just that when it comes to what are our roles, I look at those titles and I go, oh yeah, I got to pay for the marketing, or oh yeah, I got to slap this Kickstarter together and get this graphic novel printed maybe. So it does fall on me for that. Then I can turn to Lily, my manager, and be like, how do we make this possible?
Yeah, I agree with you.
So I can delegate some stuff.
But I don't know if she's gonna like this or not, but I have to say Lily is freaking fantastic. She is on top of her game, like, whoo! I mean,
she's doing good.
You have to. I've never had a product or project manager before backing me up, and we know that as Spinwhiz obviously grows, we'll need help. And Lily was the first person I thought about. I'm like, oh man, she is on top of her shit 100%. Like, and it's always when anything is released on any type of social media, it is not only perfect, but it is poignant in how it was created. So I don't know if you do that or if she does that or whatever. That's all her.
She's very detailed oriented and sorry man, sorry for talking over you.
No, that's all right.
With our team, I do the audio editing and she does all the video editing as well.
Holy crap.
So we kind of split that up, and like right now she's not too far away. William, we're talking about you. She's illustrating a comic, a web strip, by her, written by me, and it's what's it called, honey?
Life with the Writer.
Life with the Writer.
Oh my gosh, are you putting it on Spinwhiz?
I don't know. Lily she got herself an iPad Pro and Procreate, and she started drawing, and she's turned out some good stuff lately, and she's messing around, and I'm like, you know what would make you really good if you did a web strip, a very simple 4-panel layout.
That's it.
Bi-weekly.
Mm-hmm.
And I just write a 4-beat joke.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
That's it. So we're doing that. It's called My Life with the Writer, I guess. And she's illustrating a page called Corona Times right now.
Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't you be?
Yeah, and it's funny because she's telling me that I have an event that I have to appear at later that night, and I'm complaining that I don't want to be around people. I don't want to leave the house. I don't want to go. And then 4 hours later, she comes back and tells me the event was canceled, and I'm complaining like, what am I gonna do now? I'm halfway dressed.
Right.
So it's like this very kind of stupid like snapshot in time kind of deal. But I figured I would give her something easy to draw in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well,
work your way up.
You know where to go if you need it published.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll take care of that. Even if you do a WordPress and then we hook it, and then so it's always up to date. That way you can do whatever you want on your own site. We'll do that too.
Oh, that would be fun. And I'm really happy that a lot of my friends have come over to Spinwhiz.
They've been awesome. You've been awesome.
Well, it's not like a ton, but it's like it's enough where I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
You know, like it just makes me happy that our partnership is working out.
That's
and
great.
People are. I think Spinwhiz is going to have a very strong next couple of years.
God, I hope so. And it looks like if this app ever gets done and the print on demand gets done,
exactly
this month, I think we will. Things are gonna switch around for us quite a bit. And so, for those of you that don't know, Joe also does something called the Mighty Pen Podcast. I was one of the first sponsors, I think. Right, one of the first.
Yeah, you're one of the first people. You were like the third sponsor, I think, and you stuck around the longest.
Yep, and I just paid for the next 3 months.
Yeah, you're riding it out.
Because I like it so much. But again, that's not necessarily... The content is good. It's fun. But I think it's more, again, because of you and Lily specifically, because we get along.
I appreciate that.
And for those of you who don't know, Mighty Pen Podcast, I will drop the link in here also for that. You have to listen to it. It's crazy. He brings on guests. They have little adventures, in the middle or at the end. My adventure with Joe actually ended up being a non-gunslinging gunslinger in the Old West. He ended up being a writer because Joe decided to roll 4s for me instead of 18s, 19s, or 20s on the die.
Right. And I figured out how to roll a little bit better to get kind of some friendlier rolls since then.
You say
so
that now.
You were part of kind of like the old wave of shitty rolls. But I would say this, though, that it kind of worked in your advantage because the death of any character is being overpowered, right? And your character is far from it, which in his setting makes him terribly interesting. Not only that, he seems to have kind of like the stink of luck about him because you did something that was mathematically very difficult twice in a row.
Truth.
You threw something out of a window and you hit an old lady in the head with it. And then something came back in and then you threw it back out and hit that same old lady in the same old head. So
it really did.
Yeah. So that's actually mathematically kind of like an anomaly.
It really is.
So
it was meant to happen.
Right. And usually when you see a character perform a small act like that, it's usually the author foreshadowing a greater destiny to this person. So you don't seem to have any real abilities yet. However, you've already attracted the most powerful person in the town that's going to tell you his story. So you're going to have something really good to write. I don't know. You have a cool story, man.
And I didn't draw my gun. I think I threw you for a loop when I didn't fight.
Oh yeah, I forget. There was like a part like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of going all in and calling the guy out when I had a flush, I folded.
Yeah. Some of the Joe ventures are so crazy, but then like Charles Fiddler says sometimes, our buddy, he'll say sometimes that they should be written out as a short story. Like he really appreciates the Joe ventures, but they're so goofy. There's so many MacGuffins and like just worn out tropes that I'm just doing it on the fly just to stay sharp to defeat a writer's block.
But it's super fun.
It is.
You do
and I haven't been doing it on the last few shows. Lily did author Phoenix Williams. She did the interview for that. I've been doing a lot of Joe solos lately, which is just
also
half-hour me rambling. Those are fun. I like those because the sound effects and stuff are funny. But other than that, we have the Twitch show, twitch.tv/The Mighty Pen Podcast, which we're just checking in with everybody lately. It's been so weird. And then we're attempting to start a gear review channel later in the year, depending.
A what review?
A gear review channel, like an outdoors channel.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's right. We were going to go camping together if we could make that happen.
Yeah, that's one thing about me is I'm a big time like outdoorsman. And as dorky as I am, I do like me a good long hike, so.
Yeah, I like fishing.
Fishing's cool. Yeah.
I don't hunt.
It's a good skill
I don't kill anything.
Same.
But I enjoy fishing. I enjoy camping. And I enjoy when other people put their ear plugs in because I snore. But I like cooking over an open fire and just kind of shooting the shit and smoking a cigar. Having some whiskey.
I figure it'll be a good mechanic for fellow creators to drop their guards in an interview with me. So I'm going to call it the Mighty Campfire. And I'm going to bring, whatever, filmmaker, musician, comic creator, author, whatever. If you've created something, local creators, probably. And I'm just going to bring them out for an overnighter.
Yeah.
And I think around a campfire, you're going to get one or two types of videos. One, it's going to be hilarious because it's fish out of water and they may not be comfortable, and that would actually be really funny. I'd watch that. Or two, they assimilate into it, they drop all their guards, and you have this really raw interview about their work in the middle of the woods at night. And I think it's super cool. I don't know, something about that idea, like when I came up with it, I'm like, I gotta do that.
I like it.
So
I mean,
yeah, it's weird, right?
I'm down. If I could ever break away for a little while, I would do it for sure.
It'd be a nice mental reset, I think.
We going to the Adirondacks?
I would love to. Actually, I'm a huge fan. I'm from New York, well, as you know. But
me too.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, that's a far distance, and it's like travel sucks right now.
Well, I think we're gonna have to give it some time. Although I bet from what we have going on, it's probably safer out in the mountains than it is in civilization at the moment. And
it's weird because I'm kind of in both places. Like I'm in Denver, but I'm not far from the mountains.
Oh, you're in Denver?
Give or take, I'm about like 5 less than 10 minutes outside.
Oh, all right. So, well, then that's much easier because I can when we can fly again. That could be because I'll drop my wife off at the nearest wherever because she's always wanted to go to Denver.
The nearest wherever.
Yeah, I mean whatever she wants to do. I'd be like, hey Lily, you want to hang out with my wife for
a
day, a night?
Well, Lily's the camera guy, so you got to probably bring your wife.
She would hate it.
That's what I'm saying. So either you got to stow her somewhere because Lily's out there with me, man.
I'll put her in a 5-star somewhere. She'll be great.
Yeah. So we've been a good team since this whole BS started.
I love it.
So it's been funny. Like when we go supply shopping, I was saying in the podcast, like Lily's like the getaway driver. So she waits in the car. She keeps it running.
Yeah.
I go in. I look everybody in the eye and make sure nobody's getting squirrely. Yeah.
Buckle up.
I try to keep peace too because I've seen people get a little weird, and it's funny. Like the one old lady yelled at me that people need to stop hoarding, and I literally just laughed. Like it was very amusing to me. I just thought it was funny. Like she was kind of mad that I laughed too. I wasn't taking her seriously, but it's like, if she was like in trouble or anything, no problem. I'll help her out. But the fact that she was just so hysterical and weird, like, was very funny to me. Yeah. And I had to laugh just to let her know you're being ridiculous. It's day one. Like, please calm down.
Yeah.
So other than that, I did see a gentleman yelling at some lady. Apparently she was blocking his path with her cart. And he was getting all huffy and puffy. Oh. And I just asked him if he was all right. Like, are you okay? And he just looked at me. He was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, good. So let's just I think I asked him if he was being weird, and he was like, no. I was like, okay.
Yeah, those are the people that if shit ever did hit the fan, they're first to go. Like, well, they're screwed.
I'm just thinking that's like the first face I'm gonna have to mush. And it's like, although I'm not looking forward to it, I really hope this thing passes quickly. It seems to be, by the way. It seems to be like a 2-week thing. Hopefully. I'm actually not that worried. Well, so about the sickness anyway.
Well, they still have it in Australia.
Yeah.
And it's summer there, so we don't know what the hell's going to happen.
Agreed. I'm optimistic, put it that way. I have a good gut feeling And I'm generally pretty spot on with these things. I will say this, though. The entire country is going to take a massive financial hit, and I'm very concerned about that.
Yeah.
So that's the big deal, is the finances. I think we're fine physically, and we're gonna contain it, and it's gonna be okay. But I worry about everybody that's got to pay rent come the first. So
yeah, I'm coming up with an idea for Spinwhiz that might help people out at least over the next year, like little bits and pieces to help recoup a little. I'll have to call you tomorrow and tell you about that, because this show is not long enough, and if it doesn't work, I don't want it to be on video.
fair enough.
So,
Yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but normally my ideas do work. It just, yeah, this is a little bit different. My ideas are usually a bit wonky.
I like your ideas so far. So far, so good. I think we're like three for three Jeff ideas.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
So-
I mean, mostly I know what I'm talking about. It's just that the stuff I do in my company is a little more innovative, a little more risky. Not risky in a bad way. Risky in the fact that it is untested normally.
Sure.
But you got to break some eggs to make an omelet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you never rub another man's rhubarb. So very important. Also, dance with the devil in the pale moonlight.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right.
all my quote,
I
all
said
my
that to
knowledge
all my
comes from the
prey.
Joker. Jack Nicholson Joker for president. Next.
Jack Nicholson Joker was the best Joker.
I think so too. I like Jack Nicholson Joker a lot. Actually, I was thinking George Carlin's corpse for president, and I don't want to get too political, but I would vote for that.
I'm pretty sure that he would like you to.
Yeah.
And I'm
Like
about.
if they weekend at Bernie's George Carlin's skeleton.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean,
they just took a sample from every issue that came up. They just took an old Carlin sample out of text from like a performance and used that as his answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the what is it? The 7 bad words or 9 worst. The 7 the words you can't say on TV.
Yeah. Classic.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Anyway, I would vote for that. So I don't think that's getting too political. I think almost everybody listening would vote for that. So that's a safe bet.
I think you're okay. Yeah. I
If
think.
Carlin's corpse ever runs for office, your vote's not wasted on it.
Nope. It's not. He's
probably-
he's a dead ringer for a win. So, anyway, you let's talk about the comic.
Sure.
And I apologize, I'm having some video for those of you watching on YouTube or live on Twitch right now. The video is just going bonkers. It's like
I see nothing. I get black screen out of you.
Really? On Twitch?
Oh, I'm not on Twitch. That's why.
Oh, yeah.
Silly bee.
I was like, holy shit, really? Because that's not good.
No, I wasn't thinking.
The audio, the video keeps fluctuating in a way that makes me having to resize it. I'm gonna be switching to Zoom right now. We're doing this on Skype.
Oh, I see. Your windows are off. That's all.
Yeah, well, it was on perfect, and then every time, what it basically is every time you have a flub from your end and it doesn't match my end with internet for streaming, it changes your box size. And that wasn't meant to be
really
dirty.
weird.
It just is the way it is. And it's anything inbound, and I know that because it's basically taking and changing your resolution. So it changes it smaller to keep it the same speed. That's basically what it does. So instead of it slowing down and getting, but we're going to start Zoom starting in a couple weeks, and then it goes into a cloud and assimilates it and then brings it back. I don't think assimilate is actually the correct word. But
I was just hearing white noise like the last minute.
It does something funky in the air and in cloud, and it comes down, so everything's perfect. That's basically what it does. Plus, it allows us to do like a 4-person stream.
Oh, that'd be helpful. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Anyway, you have a comic. Before we get to Fibber, let's talk about a little bit about your past. How the hell did you become a writer?
Oh, I don't know.
Or when did you become a writer? Or when did it trigger for you, I should say?
It was kind of like a dawning, it was something that was kind of building for a little while. I think I was messing around with it. What ended up happening was, we would have like these long nights and we would get into a lot of mischief back in the day. Okay. I'm talking from like my 20s all the way up to like my mid 30s. Right. And when I see this thing switching, it's so crazy.
I don't know how does that.
Whatever.
Your voice stays the same though. It's silky smooth. So you're fine.
There you go. But whoever wasn't there when you were doing all this mischief, you'd have to tell the story about it. So you'd run into that person and be like, oh, you should have been there. And then they'd say, well, what'd you do? And then you'd recant the story. And oftentimes the brothers are drinking, They're getting drunk. Like, picture dwarves having like a night in. They reminded me of very like Tolkien-esque dwarves, these people I hung out with. And I think that's what made me a good storyteller, was having to recant the stories of last night's antics to whoever missed it. And that happened for a while. So then I came to Colorado to write. I didn't know anyone here. I was kind of living out of the car. It was that old tale. And I was driving my coworkers nuts with my ideas. Like, I was doing like HVAC work. I was doing armed security. I was doing pretty much like whatever job I could find. I had 2 jobs for the first year. I did not have a day off in 14 months.
Oh.
I did 7 days for 14 months. And that was when I wrote Unkillable Joe, my novel. So
which we've also written, which is also going to go up on spinwhizcomics.com as our first ever novel review.
Is it? Good. I'm glad.
That's
awesome.
Should go up
I didn't
this
know where
week,
we left
actually.
that. Good, man. That's awesome. Yeah, read Unkillable Joe. You guys are going to like it. It's a fun story. I wrote most of it out of a car. And things were crazy. But then I had a WordPress blog where I tried to do a different short story every other night. And it was about 2,000 to 5,000 words, short story. That readership started to grow. And when that happened, I realized that maybe I need to complete something. So I started writing comics. And the rest is history, just more of the same, and kept up with it.
Yeah, I mean, I fell into it. I used to write in college. Normally, when I got home from the bar, is after drinking and being upset because I spent $50 and not buzzed anymore, because that's just the worst. That means you drink too much. When you come home from the bar after spending a bunch of money, and back in back in college, shots were like what, $4 or $3. Just too much. So anyway, that's a whole nother story. But I started writing about some of my fraternity brothers and myself in an adventure of sorts. And we didn't have superpowers, but there are all sorts of, you had your classes, I guess. And people are like, this is actually good. And I'm like, well, you're only saying that because you're high. And they're like, yeah, but I can still tell that it's good. And then I had people read it that didn't know me. Right. And they're like, this is really good. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me.
Yeah, that helps.
And so I put it away, and because it was to me, it was too much like every other comic that was out. And I was writing that as a comic, but I started writing a novel called, which was Chimera, that I then turned into a comic. And then people really liked that, and then it died in Kickstarter. But without it dying, without it dying, I wouldn't have created Spinwhiz Comics in its current form.
For sure.
So everything happens for a reason, and it doesn't mean I can't relaunch it. Just, again, it's weird how I'm not a writer. I'm more of a business guy, salesperson or marketing person, if you will. But people enjoy my writing. But you are a writer.
I'm a storyteller. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still, like, even the television show that I'm writing, it's not in proper script formatting yet. It's in wonky Joe Vallen script format. So like, I do things my own way, for sure. Yes, it is great.
The story is great.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I don't know who wants it, but I'm not even worried about it. I'm not thinking about money. I'm not thinking about who wants to put it out. I'm not doing any of that. Like, I'm casually talking to people, but at the same time, we're not committing to anything or doing anything crazy. I'm literally just sitting down and writing the show that I dearly love and would love to see.
Yeah,
and
that's the best
it's going to make the pitch so easy.
Yeah.
Because I get geeked out when I talk about it, and I start getting hyper, and it's crazy, and I can't wait to see it. And it's got this, like, it's a 3-season show with such a crescendo that it's no one's going to see it coming. And I think they're just special shows, and I vow to end it after the 3rd season. So I don't care whoever says, bring it back. People like it. 4th season, I won't be part of it. I'll pull an Alan Moore.
Nice.
And I'll dip out of that piece, and I'll condemn it in interviews.
Yep.
I'll say they moved on without me. It's not the same. That's like if they moved on from Warren Ellis from Castlevania. You know what I mean? You can't do it now. You got to stay with this guy.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
and if they ditch, they'd be like, well, it wasn't the Warren Ellis season.
And you have the whole Star Wars problem where you can blame this guy or that.
Oh, good Lord. That's a whole nother.
Right. But you could, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's a whole nother ball of wax where you could blame this person, you could blame that person, you could blame this person, and you could probably be right on all three. And there was just a lot of fumbling and bumbling and stupiditar that happened in that production. But it's the same concept.
What's going to happen if they ever bring Firefly back?
I don't know. I never got hooked by Firefly.
Oh, my gosh. I didn't for years, and then all of a sudden I sat down and watched it, and I was hooked.
A lot of my friends like it, and nothing against people that do. I'm not saying it's an atrocious show. I'm not calling it The Witcher or anything, which I know that's gonna get me some hate right there. But Witcher was so bad. Anyway,
it was awful.
Firefly, on the other hand, is bad in certain ways that you can forgive if you put it out of your mind. Like the mistakes that Firefly makes it over and over again. Actually, Firefly makes a lot of the same mistakes that Lost in Space, the show, makes. And I was watching
the new
that.
one, not the original.
The new one, and it started off cool.
Yeah,
I was into it. And then what happened was they started. You could see where the budget was going action-wise. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they have two characters pair off and have some exposition.
Yeah.
And it's 30 seconds to a minute and a half. I've seen 2 minutes go by where one character just tells the other character what the audience needs to know to move on to the next scene. And it's so goddamn boring.
That's what I thought too. I thought the whole show was ungodly boring.
Yeah.
And bad. I'm just like, I'm doing this because I like the original. And I wish I hadn't.
Well, a lot of shows make that mistake. And that's why built into my pitch on the thing I'm working on now is I'm emphatic about this. This is 3 seasons and we never touch it again. And instead of marketing it like whatever the show's called, I'm not going to say the title right now, but instead of saying blam, blam, the title of the show, instead market me as a writer. Say another Joe Vallen story coming at you. And so this way, after each story is done, if people really loved it, they'll move on to the next story rather than having to milk the same old IP to death and outstaying its welcome with the viewer.
Mm-hmm.
Like That's Dexter right. or anything else for that matter.
I say tell the story, get it done, move along.
Thank you.
That's Chimera has 20 issues, and that's it. And I'm specifically make the guy likable-ish.
Yeah.
But he does certain things throughout the book where you're just like, that was badass. Even whether you like him or not. You're just like, damn, I gotta respect that. And I hope those are what kind of make the series, again, besides the fact that it's a psychological thriller. So completely different than my personality. But yeah, I hope people are just like, damn, that was boss. Hold my beer. Like, that's what I hope at the end. People are just like, that was a story. And it's over. And they'll be like, do another one. And be like, nope. Not gonna do another one. That was the story. That's over.
Yeah. That's why I'm such a Bill Watterson fan. Because
who's Bill Watterson?
He did Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh, yes.
And he said no to all the merchandising for Calvin and Hobbes, all his options he turned down. Yep. They said in total he probably cost himself about $10 million. And like when you see like Calvin pissing on the back of like a decal of some pickup truck, that's not authorized.
No, definitely not.
That's actually because he didn't secure things, I believe. I don't know what happened there, but either way, he did say there's a quote from him. It was really cool. He said, "I either quit doing Calvin and Hobbes now, and you guys praise me for it later, or I keep doing it and you all curse my name. You know, when it wears thin." And I don't know. It's kind of like a universally loved comic, and for a man to walk away from money like that because he knew it was time to go is like very inspiring to me. Chappelle's like that. That's why I love Chappelle. He walked away from a bunch of money because of something he didn't believe in. And I think if you're that type of creator, you're always going to have a job somewhere.
Yep. If nothing, you're going to have a massive fan base.
Yeah.
Because that takes guts.
Yeah.
You know, there's enough people that pay out. I'm not saying that I don't want Spinwhiz to make a ton of money, but at the same, or that I don't want to help you with Fibber and the rest make a ton of money. However, there is something to be said about, I don't like the way this is going. Screw it. I'm out.
Yeah.
Don't care about the money.
I like that model. Yeah. So, and it's not about that because it's not, you know, legacy isn't built that way. And I don't know, at least in my own small circle, I want people to be able to look at the things I made and just be like, this guy was a madman. Look at this shelf. Look at this shelf of Joe Vallen stories. He's completely insane. Like, that was my great grandpa.
That's right.
You know, what was wrong with it? And then they read the books and they're like, Jesus Christ, this guy. My God. That was like, that's where we come from. And everybody's like, you got his genes in you, you know,
that's
like
right.
you're part him.
That's right.
So how is like my future family tree going to respond to the insanity of my fiction? And I think that's like my last practical prank is on my family in the future, that they have to be the family of Joe Vallen.
Yeah. I look forward to the day where my family looks back and says, my dad or grandpa or great grandpa was crazy. Like he seemed normal, and then he wrote his stories and they were all nuts. And then when he got really old, he used to walk around and dust crop everybody in the grocery store and then giggle about it. And he didn't even care because that was what made him happy. And
I read Mr. Rogers used to do that. He used to fart at boring things that they were at to amuse his wife. And he would fart and he'd look at her like, did it again, you know, like the shit's boring.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it makes me like him more.
I know. Seriously. Well, listen, we have comics to talk about. Let's get into Fibber. Tell everybody that's watching. Yeah. Let me know like the nice elevator pitch for Fibber, and then maybe a couple of the hot things that are in this Kickstarter that they're gonna want to be part of.
Okay. Well, and maybe a couple of hot takes if we're lucky.
Whatever you want.
Let's see. Fibber this is on the back cover of the variant issue. Okay. This is what I had written on the back cover. It says, Fibber is the story of one insignificant derf. That's the race that the main character is.
Love the derfs.
The derfs. From the distant planet Snicklefritz, who gets caught in one tiny fib that sets a series of events into motion he could never take back, no matter how much he wanted to. So what this story basically is this is a guy who's down and out on his luck. He's broke. He's living in a crappy part of town. He's having no luck in the dating scene. Things are bad. There is a famous space explorer that's been missing up until recently, and a very pretty female derf mistakes him for this explorer. And she says, hey, you're so-and-so. The name's Jerv McLandis, actually. You're Jerv McLandis, the famous explorer. And rather than admit that he is not this person, he just accepts the first attention he's gotten in a long time, and he asks her if she has something to write with because she asks for an autograph. And while he's giving the autograph, trying to like mac on this girl, basically, an officer overhears this and says, Jerv McLandis, we got to get you back to HQ right away. They're looking for you. So he grabs him, throws him in the car, brings him to headquarters. And while in headquarters, they don't seem to recognize this is a different person, and they're outfitting him for a mission. And they're saying, thanks, Splorg, you're here, you know, and this and that. We began to fear the worst. And they put him in a spaceship by the name of Bessie that has her own AI. And they launch him into space on a harrowing mission of life and death. And he's not who he said he was, but everybody just ran with it. And in their haste, they didn't realize this is a different person. So
Wonderful.
What Fibber is, Fibber, 2 Bs. What Fibber is a series of missions that he goes on that he bobbles. And then when he returns, he's regaled as a hero. And I think that's where I'm going to stop it. But basically, one fib could basically destroy his entire civilization, potentially.
Ooh.
And it's a pretty intense story. It's a 3-issue run. So Fibber's 3 issues. The graphic novel that we're funding on Kickstarter is the 3 issues of Fibber complete together. So that'd be like the one you read if you wanted to collect the single issues and board those. But yeah, man. And then we have a bunch of other merch and stuff. We just released a bunch of awesome stickers, pins, patches. We're going to get all that updated very soon. We were just sort of keeping an eye on the situation and sort of deciding what to do with the Kickstarter as we've gone along.
I think it's great. It's 23 days left. So if you're watching this on YouTube, obviously check the URL. Click in to find out how many days there are. But right now, it's at 23 days left. What percentage are we at now, Joe?
Oh, I want to say we're just over like 35%, maybe more.
Yep.
So
But that
it's a good chunk.
35% is not like as much as you would think. This whole thing is funded with 1,400 more bucks.
Yeah, we're right in the ballpark.
Like some of the others
So
you see that are 6,000. This is not that.
now, if people out there are concerned about their income, things are crazy, money's tight, I totally get it. But if you work from home and things are okay, I would greatly appreciate you funding this project, especially because we took a big hit too. A lot of our events were canceled. So this would help us at home, Lily and I. This helps Rob and his family. So this is like somewhat of a favor too. This isn't just, my comic is awesome. It's also this thing put a lot of people out of work, and we could use the bump too. So very, very honest talk, full transparency here. But that being said, after the Kickstarter completes, we're going to finish issue 3 like right away. So it's a pretty harmless Kickstarter as far as risks versus the reward. 2 issues are complete. So it's a safe bet. We're going to have issue 2 completely lettered and finished by the end of this week.
I love it.
Yeah. So it's moving right along. And I got to say, issue 2 looks even better to me than issue 1. His After Effects, his lighting, his colors, like he's really flexing in issue 2. Like it's not like a drastic jump in the art quality or style. So it's nothing jarring or anything like that. But as a person who's working closely with Rob, I can note the little differences. And I'm really excited to see what 3 comes out like.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a cool project.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
And the fact that he just is like, meh. He just does it.
Yeah, he's easygoing. He puts out a lot of live streams that you guys can watch him. He's at Def Shogun on Instagram, DEF Shogun. He's also the creator of another comic called Penguino'S Revenge,
which we also have.
That you can read on Spinwhiz Comics for free.
For free.
But also register your account on there too, guys. Don't just like go there and read stuff. Like go and register too. That helps Jeff calculate analytics and hone the marketing a bit.
And people get, for every page view, they get, it's a loyalty program. So for every page view you read, you get entered into a giveaway for free. Exactly. As long as you're logged in. Don't be weird and not log in. Like, don't be that guy where you're like, I'm not going to log in because they're going to have my information. Everybody already has your information. Yeah. It's Google. We don't. All you got to do is log in. I don't ask you many things. I ask you for your email. Come on, people.
And you may win something too.
And you may. So. And the end of the year one is going to be great. We're putting that together right now. I mean, who doesn't want to win like a big screen TV or something?
Nice.
I mean, right now I'm trying to do that. I mean, those are expensive, but that's what I'm hoping for.
Right. So yeah, go do that. You can read Penguino'S Revenge, and you'll see early shades of Robert Powers. He actually wrote and illustrated that one by himself. And I believe he's going to have he's got 2 issues up with you now, correct?
Issue 0 and issue 1.
Fair enough. And I know he's got 10 completed. So that's a longer run. That's something that you can kind of really sink into. Fibber is 3 issues. If after the funding of the Kickstarter, Rob has agreed to sign on for 3 more issues.
Oh, damn.
So, yes, and we're going to do a prequel that's going to lead up to this starring Jerv McLandis.
I love it.
So,
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give away what happens to Jerv McLandis. You have to read issue 1. But basically, the prequel, the issues that we're going to do that are going to lead up to the ones we have now are going to make 1 through 3 a lot more epic. And I think that's what a prequel should do. Is they should a good prequel reinforces the original content. And you don't see that a lot. A lot of prequels seem to ruin stuff.
Yep.
And I think we've hit that nice harmonic balance where this prequel is going to strengthen what we've already created.
Yeah.
And make it more fun.
I think it'll be awesome. I love the tie-ins like that. And obviously it is a huge universe of its own. And
it's growing. I have another character that I was going to put out with a different artist, and I was talking to Rob about it. And I said, what do you think about bringing this guy into the Fibber universe? And we came up with a story, and he's like, dude, I love it. I'm like, whoa. So I just brought in another IP into Fibber.
Spin that bad boy off.
Fibber just absorbed this other little IP, and I'm like, that's perfect. I think that's how a lot of these universes get real big and expanded, and then you can do some spin-off stuff, and you got a lot of marketing potential there.
I can see it as a really cool, fun, short animated series as well.
Yeah, Yeah, and it's certainly built for that from the ground up as far as the art style and even like the line weight and stuff would translate really well to animation.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the colors, everything just really stands out from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say this. I just want to fund the Kickstarter. I just want to get the graphic novel out. It'll get us something extra to sell at our booths. I didn't want to just pay out of pocket to print a graphic novel. It's a lot of money. So this would really help. Yeah. So this is just a very minor Kickstarter. It just hit at a really bad time.
Yeah. But I think you'll be okay. I mean,
yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, we have a long ways out, and we're going to see what the news does in the next few days. I'm not terribly nervous. I actually think that everything's going to be fine within a couple of weeks. So I would urge everybody to relax.
We can all hope so.
Right?
That's at least the way we would like it to go.
It's just a hopeful thought. That being said, it would be prudent to ride out this Kickstarter because that would give me one solid week of good marketing when everybody's in good spirits and probably celebrating.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I drink beer, but not that much. But I have a lot of bourbon and whiskey and scotch.
Yeah.
And I look forward to celebrating.
There you go. So, yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on and pushing this Kickstarter and, sponsoring the podcast and all that. That's been doing really well.
Yeah.
You guys listening, head on over to the Mighty Pen Podcast on YouTube. That's where I'm trying to grow it.
Mm-hmm. Got that link
you can find
in
us
there.
everywhere. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
And just subscribe to that. Now, more importantly, if you're a creator, I would really prefer you promote yourself in the comments. It's going to seem counterintuitive at first, where you're gonna look spammy. But trust me on this, I'm telling you to do it. It's the point of the channel. So everybody just promote yourselves, because what happens is as the YouTube channel continues to grow, people get bored and watch the old videos and they see your links. So they're like ads that never disappear completely. So somebody could find your link in 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
And go buy your book or do whatever. So please promote yourself in the comments. It's not, yes, that helps me with the algorithm, but it's not helping me as much as you think.
Yeah. No.
Promote yourselves.
Yes.
Please.
And that's awesome because nobody else really does that. I don't even let people do that.
You should. It's not bad. I mean, you only get I'm only getting like 5 or 6 people saying, hey, go here, go there. What can it hurt?
True.
I hit like on all of it. Good. Thank you for posting.
Well, I only do it because I like promoting my partners.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason I don't.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Well, you know what? You get the lion's share of the good promo. You get like the actual posts.
True.
You get like the things like that. They get more like the snickle fritz. They get more like the if somebody found that video of mine and we're into the thing they're selling, they may click on it, and even then they may not buy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what can it hurt to be kind of cool about that?
Yep,
so
I agree.
That's how I look at it.
I agree. Well, listen, buddy. It was great. I mean, you and I have talked a bunch. Everybody that's watching this doesn't know that we've talked a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
You're honestly one of my favorite people in the comics industry. That's not saying that because you're on the show. It's because we get along so well. We're very simpatico in how we think and how we act. And mostly, you and I said, you have told me that we have differences in how we would treat certain situations, which I thought was funny.
Possibly,
but that's a whole nother show. That's the campfire right there.
Right.
So hang on the line for me, ladies and gentlemen. I'll remember, if you're on YouTube, just look below. Just scroll. I have all these links. I have if you want to read it on Spinwhiz, issue number 1 is there. If you want the Kickstarter, which you're going to help Joe out with, and Rob and Lily, then it's there. Yeah. The YouTube link to Mighty Pen Podcast is there. The YouTube link to the show that I'm on the Mighty Pen Podcast is there, and you can hear about how he rolls the fours. The link to the Unkillable Joe on Amazon is there. I don't have the link to the review on Spinwhiz yet because it's not up, but if it's up by the time this gets up, then I'll put it there. And then Penguino's Revenge also.
Yeah,
there.
go support Rob too, so that's another thing.
And then follow them on social media. I'll put the social media links in there for Joe Vallen Writer on the Twitters and the Instagrams and the everything. It's all the socials.
I appreciate you, sir. Joe Vallen Writer everywhere, and Unkillable Joe is a really good quarantine book. Mm-hmm. Who would have thunk? So pick it up on Amazon.
Check it out. Another reason why I want to get it out like this week.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun
because it's meant to be read. And then at least the review, and then we'll link over.
Well, thank you to you and Lily for setting this up, and I hope everything's cool on your end, brother.
You too, man.
And we're chilling over here. Everything's fine. I want everybody out there to calm down and relax and go read something and take a bath.
Yes. Keep washing those hands. 20 seconds with warm water. That's all you need. Don't pick your nose and rub your eyes with it. Every
time Lily touches me, I hose her down. So it's been keeping. I just spray her with the hose.
That's.
Yep.
So many clothing changes throughout the day.
Yeah, and as you can see, symptom free.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that's what you got to do. So hang on the line with me just for a minute. I want to say goodbye to you. Ladies and gentlemen, hang out with me. I'm going to either be playing a little Modern Warfare Warzone that just came out or a little bit Apex Legends. I don't know. Well, I don't even know how long we're going to be on, but I have to pass something by Joe real quick, and I'll be right back. Hang with me, everybody. We'll be back.